As the figure of the elegant man slowly disappeared in this world, through the stone room, a majestic coercion also came from the jade-white skeleton. This should be true, right? Xiao Yin also muttered to himself. The owner of the ruins had previously created some so-called yin and yang combination of deceitful things, as well as many formations to obscure the eyes. Xiao Yin was also afraid of this, what else happened, and immediately looked around vigilantly. If you look around, you can see everything in this stone room. Entering from the stone gate, there are medicinal herbs growing everywhere, and a path is exposed in the middle leading to the depths of the stone gate. In the depths of the stone room, on a slightly high step, a body of jade-white skeleton slowly appeared. On the slightly high steps, a throne appeared in the eyes of the two of them. The skeleton above the throne was exactly the same as the one just outside. Xiao Yin also shrank his eyes tightly. Even this long-lost emperor's strength during his lifetime was extremely terrifying. If it was the resurrected seven-star Do Emperor, Xiao Yin and Su Shuiying would probably be about to die. The situation, but fortunately, this is just a skeleton that has been lost for many years. But Xiao Yin didn't dare to take it lightly, and immediately looked around with vigilance, and then looked at the skeleton sitting cross-legged with fiery eyes. From Xiao Yin and Su Shuiying's perception, they knew that this was the deepest part of the ruins, the seat of the emperor. Seven-star Do Di, this level, even for them, has an irresistible temptation, but they also know that under the irresistible temptation, crises also coexist. The powerhouses of the seven-star Do Emperor may be able to stand alone in this mysterious spirit continent, but they are still far from the true peak. However, the value contained in the bones and even the blood of the seven-star Do Di powerhouse cannot be measured by money. And above that, Do Di and Do Xian, this is almost a process of qualitative change. The gap between the two, almost nothing can make up. Is this the remains of a strong man as strong as the seven-star Do Di? Xiao Yin muttered to himself, because it was only from the perception of breath and soul power. The strength and toughness contained in this skeleton were stronger than Xiao Yan's. What Yin has encountered before is several times stronger. That's it. Su Shuiying looked at the few drops of blood-red liquid on top of the bones from a distance, and couldn't help but a trace of fiery flashes in her beautiful eyes. The blood of the Emperor. That's the purpose of her trip, even if you want to get it at all costs. Otherwise you... Xiao Yin took a deep breath of cold air and started walking into the stone room, looking around carefully. In the spacious stone room, many medicinal materials grow from the stone door, but the strange thing is that there is not a trace of plant growth around the skeleton located in the innermost part of the stone room. Looking at the more and more medicinal materials, and looking around the skeletons near the stone chamber, Xiao Yin suddenly felt an unpleasant feeling, and then he saw that something seemed to be stepped on under his feet. He grabbed Su Shuiying next to him and ran to the place where he entered and said solemnly, "Fast back." Ah! Xiao Yan's strange behavior made Su Shuiying confused, but she also had an attitude of preferring to believe Xiao Yan's words or not. So although she was very doubtful about the purpose of his actions, or immediately showed his body and hurriedly followed. When Xiao Yan's figure retreated sharply, Su Shuiying immediately sensed that something was wrong. She activated the cyan battle chi around her body, picked up a stone with her hand, and flew towards the surroundings of the skeleton. The stone just came into contact with the space next to the Emperor's skeleton, and it stopped moving as if it had hit a thick wall. Then Xiao Yin saw that the originally dry Emperor's skeleton suddenly appeared a slight squirming, and then the space around the skeleton collapsed into countless extremely sharp space spikes, piercing the stone. Superior. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying power instantly gathered towards the stones in the air, and the powerful power made the stones vanish. Su Shuiying also noticed the strangeness of the skeleton at this time. And then Mei Mu stared at the skeleton of the emperor, because she was shocked to see which drops of blood-red liquid that had been hovering on the palm of the skeleton gently dripped onto the skeleton. On the skeleton sitting cross-legged, that blood essence seems to be fused on top of the bones. Su Shuiying also opened her mouth slightly, looking at the blood that fell on the jade-white bones. A feeling of extreme unease quietly emerged from the hearts of the two of them. Xiao Yan's eyes were fixed on the blood dripping on the bones. At this moment, the blood was slid, but it quietly penetrated like water that met cotton. When all the blood had penetrated into the skeleton, Xiao Yan's pupils suddenly shrank. At this moment, he suddenly felt that some life had emerged from the originally dry skeleton in front of him that had been lost for unknown years. Damn, go back! Su Shuiying was also quick to respond, and the moment she sensed the vitality, a rapid roar came from her mouth. At the same time, her feet stomped the ground, and her body was shot back like lightning. Just when they were about to go backwards, the jade-white skeleton sitting cross-legged on the stone seat trembled slightly, and then, the moment after the blood-red blood merged into the jade-white body, the hollow in the middle dark skull, two faint blood-red colors appeared flickeringly. Squeak! Just when the two exited the stone room, there was a sudden sound of bones twisting in the originally silent stone room. Under this sound, Xiao Yin and Su Shui also looked at each other, and then stared at Yu Yu. The white skeleton, on the skeleton, a breath of blood mist permeates the depths of the entire stone room. The aura spread out from the depths of the stone room at this moment, and the whole stone room filled with more seriousness. Squeaky! The sound of the skeleton touching the ground is from far to near. The sound is not loud, but it is like stepping on the hearts of the two, making people feel extremely depressed. Be careful, don't separate. Xiao Yan's face was solemn, and he turned his head to Su Shuiying and the others and said in a low voice, "This situation is completely out of control. The resurrection of the Emperor's bones is really too terrifying." Su Shuiying also nodded. She came here to gather enough information, but she obviously did not expect that the Master of the Ruins would be resurrected. If things go wrong this time, I am afraid that both of them will have to be buried here. In the stone room, the blood mist slowly fluctuated under the gazes of the two of them. Immediately, a skeleton whose whole body was dyed blood red by the power of essence, and blood walked slowly through the blood mist and appeared in the second place. People looked down. Beat me, live. The loser die. The blood-colored skeleton stopped a few meters in front of the two and slowly raised his head. In the empty eyes, blood flashed, and an ancient and hoarse, indifferent voice sounded softly in the stone room. The figure walking out from the depths of the stone room was impressively composed of sections of jade-white bones. The thin body of the skeleton stands in the stone room. The original jade-white body, after absorbing the blood essence, becomes even whiter, and the whole body exudes a thick blood mist, which is turned into a scarlet color, which looks to people a very strong feeling. In the eye sockets of the skeleton, two faint red lights flickered slightly. Then the two of them saw that the blood that had just merged into the skeleton seemed to recondense on the chest of the Emperor's skeleton, where there were a few drops of blood-red blood beating, and the blood-red color exuded unparalleled power. It should be the same as the machine, powered by blood as the core, so that the skeleton could be resurrected for a short time, thus protecting the blood of the Emperor. But as long as the skeleton can be controlled or the blood can be captured, then the skeleton will not be attack yourself. Su Shuiying also moved her beautiful eyes slightly, so she found something the same. It's really not that easy to get good things. Xiao Yin cursed loudly, as if he knew just from his perception that the skeleton's current strength was much stronger than that of the 4-star Dodi, let alone defeated. When the hoarse and ancient voice of the skeleton slowly fell, the expressions of the two standing outside the stone room also changed slightly. It seems that today, if you don't defeat this Emperor skeleton, you will not be able to leave smoothly, let alone take it. To the blood of the Emperor. Moreover, Xiao Yan heard from his master, the Golden Dragon King, that the blood essence of a strong man who is comparable to the peak of the 7-star Do Emperor is very useful. And this jade-white skeleton is also used for other purposes, but the Golden Dragon King only mentioned it briefly. There is no more text. But don't panic. There is a trace of soul imprint left by the strong man in this skeleton. Even if it is activated by the power of blood essence, it is not a real 7-star Do Emperor strongman. It is not impossible, but the premise is that we must join forces. Otherwise, if it is defeated by each of them, it is very likely that the entire army will be wiped out. Xiao Yan said solemnly. Hearing what he said, Su Shuiying also agreed very much. If there was no such strength in the ruins, then she would not be afraid of this skeleton. But now, where's your fire elf? Summon it and I can solve this skeleton in 3 minutes. Su Shuiying stepped on the green lotus, and the blue holy flame surrounded her. She was obviously doing something. It just fell into a deep sleep. Xiao Yan also frowned. Damn, it's too much trouble now. Give me 5 minutes. Su Shui also shrank her eyes, and then bit her lips lightly, and blue flames emerged. Su Shuiying looked and saw that the blood-red color on the surface of the Emperor's skeleton was getting darker and darker, and the blood-red blood essence within it was constantly exuding majestic power, and it was also rapidly moving on her body. All parts flooded. Xiao Yan and Su Shuiying also saw the same place. Go ahead. You can't wait any longer. Otherwise, when the blood spreads more and more, the strength of this skeleton will also increase. Xiao Yan shouted loudly. As soon as the voice fell, Su Shuiying already understood that time could not allow them to delay any longer. King Liantai slowly summoned out, and the power of Cyan Holy Flame instantly covered her whole body. As soon as the holy flame came out, the aura that filled the air was also eliminated a lot. The power of the holy flame really lived up to its reputation. Xiao Yan couldn't take care of that much either. His figure turned into a blurred shadow and swept toward the jade-colored skeleton in the stone chamber like lightning. The vast milky white battle chi, like a volcano, surged out of his body overwhelmingly. This kind of power made the precious medicinal materials in the hall become wilted in an instant. Seeing how powerful Xiao Yan was when he made a move, Su Shuiying was also very surprised at how sensitive Xiao Yan was. Creak! The red light in the eyes of the jade-colored skeleton danced. Looking at the black shadow that was swept by the vast fighting spirit, the upper and lower teeth gnawed slightly, and then took a step. The dark red skeleton palm was directly facing Xiao Yan and grabbed it. Bang, bang, bang! The speed of the skeleton was extremely terrifying. Just as his palm was raised, the space in front of him was torn apart by him. His arm penetrated into the shattered space, and when he reappeared, it was already in front of Xiao Yan. The terrifying speed of this jade-colored skeleton also made Xiao Yan's heart sink. His palms clenched into fists, all the fighting chi in his body condensed on his right arm at this moment, and then suddenly blasted out. Bang, bang, bang! A fist slammed into the palm of the skeleton, but the seemingly fragile skeleton was stronger than fine steel at this moment. Even Xiao Yan's full-strength punch only shook the skeleton back a step. And himself, he was shocked and retreated a dozen steps in a row, looking a little embarrassed. However, this Xiao Yan is not a soft-hearted person, so after stabilizing his body, he moved and shot out again, entangled with the Emperor's bones again, and a fierce battle broke out. The sparks shot out. Xiao Yan's fists and feet slammed onto the bones of the Emperor, and every time he hit hard, the blood on the bones became lighter, and the red glow in the skeleton's eye sockets. It is also gradually declining. Xiao Yan also found that although the strength of this jade-colored skeleton is extremely powerful, Xiao Yan's current body can't handle it, but the skeleton is still a little slow, so Xiao Yan can use his soul power very well. It captures its attack action to avoid it, so as to counterattack. Seeing the good effect of the attack, Xiao Yan's heart was also shaken, and he accelerated the attack again. At the same time, the blue flames around Su Shuiying's body also flickered violently. The silver light flashed on Xiao Yan's feet and swept directly into the Emperor's skeleton. At the same time, the blood on the rib was also shaken away. The blood on the rib was shaken away, and then it returned to jade white, like an ordinary rib. With a successful strike, Xiao Yan just wanted to retreat, but his eyes suddenly solidified on the rib that had turned into a jade white color, and there seemed to be a strange power emerging from the top of it. Boom, boom, boom. The rib that was attacked by Xiao Yan was actually radiating a stronger, even stronger power than before. And not only that, there was something about to explode at that rib. The power of regeneration. Damn it! Xiao Yan lost his voice when he looked at the skeleton's jade-white ribs. Looking at the battle on the field, Su Shuiying couldn't help but be a little surprised. The remains of the Emperor were indeed very strong. Even under such a powerful attack as Xiao Yan, they were still defeated. This is just a residual imprint of the soul. If it is a complete Emperor, how terrifying would it be? Xiao Yan also felt that it was a little difficult. Obviously, the fighting power of this skeleton made him a little horrified. Are you done? There seems to be something wrong with this Emperor's skeleton. Xiao Yan also asked,